Welcome to Creative Brews. I'm Kristen, and this is your weekly dose of creativity, where photography, design, and life come together. So, grab your favorite drink, and let's talk about what's brewing. Good morning, everybody, and happy October. I cannot believe that we are already in the fall time. That is absolutely crazy. I mean, we have basically just a few months left of this year of 2025, and then it's gonna be a new year. So, I wanted to touch on a few things before we jump right into today's episode. Getting tongue-tied already. So at the time that I'm filming this, just to kind of give you a little bit of a timeline here, I believe the episode that you'll see before this one kind of cuts into the mindset myths and kind of just talks about something that I thought about while designing my book, The Daily Divine. So I kind of touched on that. To kind of break up the little mini series here, I think we have like 4 episodes left after this one. Roughly, I don't know, it's kind of like an ongoing little list that I have going on. So, yes, this is October 4th is when I'm filming this one. So that way I can get this one to go up, because this next weekend we'll be out of town. So yes, taking a fall family trip. So that'll be fun. Can't wait. It's our first basically little family trip that we're going to be taking. And of course, going to the mountains. It's leaf season, people. I tried to make it in the middle, like in peak leaf season. But hopefully we'll get to see some leaves, some leaves changing and all the colors and stuff like that. I'm sure we will. But so that means when this video goes live, I plan on probably between the episode that the episode that my brain is in like 1,000 places at the moment. A little scattered brained, and you're about to find out why. I promise. So, yes, after the episode that I just uploaded to break up this mini-series, which is talking about universal design and some things that I tried to... Not that I guess I tried, definitely, but some things that I did take into account while designing my book, The Daily Divine. So I will probably put up a little video. I do have a plan on putting up a mid video between that episode and this one that you'll see in the future. So by the time you're watching this episode, I can finally say and share with everybody my publication date is 10/12. Obviously, I do have plans on making a video that'll go up before this one. I'm trying to kind of time everything because I did have a few people inquire, some people inquire about the early crowd. So I did have a few people that entered that wanted to know, so that's exciting. I sent that email out last night since I'm filming this on 10/3, no, 10/4, sorry, on October 4th. So yeah, last night / yesterday, I went ahead and shared the news with all the people that entered into the early crowd. They will get to know as soon as my book goes live. They will know first. So, yes, that is the whole reason why I was trying to share that with people, because this is a very exciting I'm so excited. Like, I'm so excited that I feel like I'm just speechless. Like, I think that's the best way. Like, there's no word that I can say or words that I can say that will get the point across, are the emotions across. Like, this is a very emotional thing for me. But anyways, not to make this one longer than it needs to be, but I'm kind of scattered brain just because I'm trying to like time things when things go live and stuff like that. Like, I definitely, like I said, by the time you're seeing this, you'll probably have already seen everything and been like, okay, well, that's not really that exciting anymore. Like, to me, I feel like I'm always going to be excited, no matter what. So, but yeah, as you're seeing this episode, and as I'm talking now, I will have shared the announcement video, which if you haven't seen that, you should go ahead and go watch it now. It's exciting. I'm talking about all this stuff now because obviously I am in the present. But when you see this episode and when this episode goes live, it'll be in the future. So you can kind of see where I'm going. It can be kind of confusing a little trying to time everything, but I think it's kind of cool. So yeah, you should go watch the book announcement. I plan for the book announcement video to go live hopefully Monday sometime. Not really too sure when, because that's the same day that I upload my podcast episode. So I don't know if maybe I'll do Tuesday or Wednesday, so that way it's not too much going on. But yeah, I'm just so excited because today it's October 4th. I am currently waiting on the actual proof of the book before the book goes completely live. So obviously, since I'm in the past, by the time you're watching this, I know that's confusing. Obviously the book is not live currently, like as of right now. It will be by the time you're watching this. But you can kind of see why I'm kind of scattered brain, I guess, is the whole point that I'm trying to get across. So yeah, all of that to say, I'm super excited, and I hope, my only hope is that whoever this book gets to, whoever buys this book, I don't know you, and of course I don't know some people that buy the book, but what I'm saying is like, to a complete stranger who comes across this book, I really hope that, I really strongly believe that whoever this book comes across is truly meant to be. Because, I don't know, this book to me is just very special because it goes through so much different. I know it's just a quote book, but there's also prompts and reflections to think about after each chapter. And of course, I'm going to think that this book is magical and amazing and all the things because I wrote it and I designed it. So there's a lot that went into this book, a lot of early mornings. Anyways, I'm not going to get too much into it because obviously I did a book announcement. In that video, I'll probably just sit down and word vomit is what I call it about it, just because I do feel so strongly about it. And I really truly feel like if you don't know me, I don't know you, you're a complete stranger, and you come across this book, it's truly a sign. Because this book meets everybody wherever you're at in your life. And you don't have to be on a spiritual journey for this book to still be usable. I hope that all makes sense. But anyways, like I said, it's October 4th. And I have coffee. I also have my little flannel on because when my fiance gets off work, we're going to go and do a fall festival. So that'll be nice. You know, this year is the year of firsts for us and our family. So I'm excited. And yes. Anyways, cheers. Also, I got my berry lipstick on, channeling all the fall vibes, Fall, if you couldn't tell, is one of my favorite seasons. So, yes. Anyways, without further ado, we're going to get right on into it. So, as you can see, I have my handy dandy notebook. Literally, it's my notepad, but notebook, whatever you want to call it. Yes, so we're back on the Mindset Myths mini-series. This one is The Power of No, Why Saying Yes to Everything Dilutes You. So, in this episode, we're going to break down one of the biggest myths in life and business, I personally think, that saying yes to everything leads to success. The truth is, every yes that's not aligned to you and your soul, and it doesn't make sense, and basically if you're just, what's the word? If you just blurt out yes, basically that's what I'm talking about. You didn't think about it first, you didn't think and say, does this make sense? Does it feel right? Do I feel like I have to say yes? That's what I'm talking about. The truth is, every yes that's not aligned is a leak in your energy. It scatters your focus, dilutes your magic, and keeps you stuck in the people-pleasing mode. So, of course, like every other episode that I've done in this series, I am going to share the psychology, the woo-woo / spiritual insights is what I've been calling it, / facts. And then a how to flip the situation or how to flip this way of thinking and reframe it. So a reframing of how to flip it to where it's not as damaging or, chaotic or, so that way it'll work for you and it'll feel right. It'll feel aligned, not like it's coming from fear or confusion or something like that. So, yes. Okay, so I kind of, before we get into it, I guess I'll say this after. I wrote it before all the breakdown, but we'll go ahead and go through the psychology insights first. So, psychology insights, decision fatigue. The more choices we make, the more our mental energy depletes. Constant yeses pile on decisions, as well as commitments and stress, leaving your bandwidth for what truly matters less. So it leaves your mind bandwidth or your mental bandwidth with less. I hope that makes sense. So actually this would work for this. So I wrote down a way to think of it. So if you're a designer, you could think of it like design. White space makes the art more powerful. I know a lot of times, like, especially as I was designing my book, there's a lot of white space, and I felt the need. It was really funny because I felt the need to not fill all the white space, but to balance it and to almost fill up the white space. I'm like, that's like too empty of a page. Like, what's the point? When really it is the white space that makes, especially a quote book, because this book, my book that I wrote, is not necessarily telling you a story. More so, it's giving you bits and pieces of someone's mind in a way, I guess is really how you could think of it, more than a story. So it's not your typical, I'm going to sit down and read this story. It's not a memoir, even though a lot of it I wrote from me. It's not a memoir. It's not about me. Does that make sense? It is fragments of my mind. And I think that's the best way that I can probably put the description, you could say. I'm kind of hot. I'm not gonna lie. This flannel, it's airy, don't get me wrong, and it's big and it's made to fit oversized, but I have a fan on above me. It's blowing my hair everywhere, so that's why I keep feeling like I have to, situate my hair, which is finally growing out, but I have a lot of hair. And this past time when I went and got my hair cut, it was not what I wanted whatsoever. I was not happy. Yeah. Anyways, not to go off the path here, but yeah, think of it like design. White space makes the art powerful. The same goes for your life. Your no creates space for the aligned yes. Okay, so we're going to dive back into the psychology insights. So the boundary theory, healthy boundaries protect mental health, self-identity, and prevent burnout. Overcommitting erodes those boundaries. And so you kind of end up, it's kind of the same for when you're dating, okay? And you don't know this person, they don't know you, but you're getting to know the person, you're dating them. It's kind of like whenever you're teaching people how to love you is what you're really doing. So, dating, I think people just go into it like, well, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what I'm doing per se. Like, I don't know if this is going to go good or whatever. But in all actuality, in reality, what you're doing from the very beginning is you're teaching someone how to love you and how to treat you and stuff like that. So the same goes for family, the same goes for friends. Instead of you're teaching these people how to love you, yeah, in some ways, but you're really teaching people how to treat you, how to respect you. The list goes on. So if you set a boundary, which, by the way, let me just go ahead and put this out there because I feel like when people hear the word boundary, they automatically get standoffish. You see the wall go up. They don't want to hear what you have to say and all this other stuff. Let me just tell you that just because you use the word boundary does not mean that I am attacking you. It doesn't mean I'm putting up a wall that is not going to get taken down. I'm not putting up a wall. Like, if I'm sitting down to have a one-on-one conversation with someone, whether it be family, friends, whoever, a loved one, a partner. I mean, obviously I'm getting married, but my partner, like, it doesn't, my kids, it doesn't matter who it is what I'm saying. It could literally be anybody. But if I'm taking the time out of my day to plan something with you, to sit down and talk to you about what you could take as a boundary, or if I use the word boundary, whatever it is not a bad thing. I believe that society and maybe the way people have been, brought up, are taught, was that not only saying yes to everything makes you more likable, more successful, more this or that. It actually doesn't. Like, I'm kind of getting off on a different subject. So I'm going to go back for a second before I say all that. My thing is if someone is taking the time to sit down, to have a conversation with you, not attacking you, not belittling you, not like just a neutral conversation, that means that they give a shit. So sometimes whoever you're talking to needs to take their head out of their own ass for a second to hear the other person, because if you just hear some words that you don't like and you become shut off, you're not gaining anything from that conversation. Conversation. I feel like I'm trying to say confrontation. That's not what... I feel like that's what it sounds like I'm saying. I'm saying conversation. I feel like the more I talk sometimes, the more my brain, like, mixes things up. I still call it mom brain. You can, say whatever, but I'm only, 9 months postpartum, almost 10 months postpartum, so yeah, things are still trying to go back to normal, okay? Anyways, I think you get the point that I'm trying to make. Like, if you become shut off in a conversation where the person that's sitting across from you is trying to have a real conversation with you, and they're trying to do it in a loving way, not an attacking way, I really think that it tells a lot about you and where you're at in your journey, where you're at in your life. Like, if you can't, and I'm not saying you have to agree. Like, if someone is talking to you and you're not agreeing with what they're saying, instead of becoming shut off, there's ways of saying things, okay? Not every conversation has to be an attack, okay? I feel like that's where the word boundary kind of gets misconstrued. Although some people who do make it seem like they want to sit down to have a conversation with you. They do treat boundaries like, okay, well, I've got to announce to the world I'm setting boundaries. Like, no, you don't have to announce to the world. You don't have to announce to the person, even. So if you come across someone and you're like, okay, mentally, you're like, okay, I need to set some boundaries here. You don't have to sit down and say, well, I'm setting boundaries. Like, no, just do it. But you also don't have to be an ass about it. You know what I mean? Like, being an ass can go both ways. You know what I mean? So this is a real conversation that I'm having. So I definitely don't sugarcoat things. And I hope that people, the viewer or the listener, whoever it is, doesn't take it the wrong way. If you do, I'm sorry, but I also can't help the way that, different people perceive things differently. And that's just where I'm going to leave that. But all of that to say, you shouldn't become shut off in the conversation. Jesus. I'm hot. I can't talk. I mean, dang. This is ridiculous. But in my brain, and I think it's just because I'm a very open-minded person. Like, if it was flipped and I was sitting across from someone and they're like, maybe they're not saying boundary, but they're having that conversation, I wouldn't become shut off. I would be like, okay, well, I would engage, in other words. Like, not in a mean way. Not everything has to be an attack. Not, having hard conversations is hard. You know what I mean? But they're meaningful. And it actually should show you that person, like I said, gives a shit and cares enough to sit down and talk to you instead of just shutting you off. It's so easy. In this world, it is so easy for people to just shut people off. You don't know why they shut you off, but they want to call it boundaries. Boundaries isn't shutting people off for no reason. Now, if you are in a traumatic situation where someone is physically violent, that could mean anything. That could be any relationship. By all means, like, forget the boundaries. It's not about boundaries if you're in that situation. That's a whole completely different conversation, topic, mindset, everything. But if it's just, like a friend or family or boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, kids, whoever, like, it could literally be, you can apply this in your life in literally any aspect of your life. You can apply this. But yeah, I think I got the point across. But also, I'm going to go back to the why saying yes to everything does dilute you. Okay, if you're always available, if you're always there, whether that be work, friendships, it could be, again, literally, you can apply this in any aspect of your life. If you're always saying yes, if you're always there, you're always the one to depend on, you become deluded. You become, in people's brains, they think of you as not only the one who, well, she always says yes, like, why do we have to even ask her? She's just going to say yeah. Or he's just going to say yeah. You become people who are the person, because believe me, where I used to work, I used to say yes a lot, because I thought that it was a badge of honor almost. Like, I thought of it as, okay, well, if I'm always the one that they can depend on, then I'm going to get that raise. They'll see that I deserve a raise. They'll see that they can, basically depend on me more. You think you become invaluable when really it's the opposite. You think that you become most valuable when really you're not. Like, they think of you as a doormat. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like celebrities and everyday people who fangirl over whoever it is. Like if you're always fangirling, like, it's cool if you like, oh, well, I fangirled over seeing blah, blah, blah today. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, if you're basically like that stalker fan, you know what I mean? Like, there's some people out there, I'm sure. And I'm sure you're like, yeah, I know a few people. You become a doormat. Like, but you also become weird and stuff like that. It kind of fits in today's episode, but not really. Anyways, I think you get what I'm saying. Like, like, for me, when I was always saying yes to stuff, or can you stay late? So and so can't work this, until tomorrow morning, whatever it is, they can't work over. But is there any way that you can stay over? Or they stop asking. They literally will stop asking if you can stay late for this, whatever it is, for an approval or whatever. Can you stay late for literally whatever? Can you work over? They literally will stop asking you because they know that you're going to say yes. You literally water yourself down every time you say yes, even when you want to say no. Every time you say yes, even though inside you're screaming no. So stop doing that. That is my little tidbit to you, is instead of saying yes all the time, especially whenever you're screaming no, you don't have to be an ass about saying no. You don't have to attack someone when you say no. You can literally say no, not today, or whatever the case may be. So again, like I just said, people-pleasing trap. You get trapped in the people-pleasing, I guess, abilities, or like I have to say yes because then they're going to be mad at me. Or I have to say yes because none of my coworkers are able to work over. They're depending on me. I have to say yes. No, you don't. No, you don't have to say yes. Saying yes often comes from fear of rejection and wanting approval, but leads to resentment, stress, and lower self-esteem over time, which will lead to depression and anxiety. The anxiety of, especially if you're an empath, it's hard whenever you know that if you say no to whoever it is, you're potentially letting down someone. Like, I don't want to hurt them. I'm not here to be mean. But if you can't do something, then say that. You don't have to be mean about it. You know what I mean? So, scarcity versus abundance mindset. Many people say yes out of scarcity. i.e., fear they won't get another opportunity, which is also another thing. When abundance actually flows from selective aligned choices. So if you're saying yes from a aligned standpoint, it feels right. I can feel this in my soul. Of course I want to do this. Then, that's great. It should flow easy. It should come easy. You shouldn't have to talk yourself into saying yes. Or even talk yourself into saying no. Like, you shouldn't have to do that. So, yeah, a lot of times people will say yes even before thinking about it. Even if the other person says, you can think about it, let me know later, whatever. A lot of people will just go ahead and say yes out of fear that they won't get another opportunity. Well, if I don't say yes now, I'm going to lose this opportunity. No, you can think about it and reframe the no. Maybe not now, not at this moment. It doesn't align with me at this moment, but maybe in the future. You can sit and think about it. And even if you have to think about it for a day, a week, whatever, take that time. And whoever is waiting on your answer should have enough respect and, enough. It's all about like holding space for someone when you are waiting on either someone's response or something like that. Like, just because they don't immediately say yes or no doesn't mean that you should come at that person and say, hello, why aren't you answering me? No, like we live in a society where if you're not instantly replying back, if you're not instantly doing something, whether it's replying back, calling someone back, talking to someone, whatever it is, they immediately, out of a fear or scarcity mindset, not aligned mindset, they automatically go to a place of, this person is mad at me, they don't like me, why are they not responding back? But as a society, we all have one of these. A lot of us do. A lot of kids have these nowadays. A lot of kids have iPads, computers. It's all diluted and watered down. So, of course, a lot of people are like, okay, well, what's taking you so long? Like, why aren't you, talking to me or whatever? As if you don't have other stuff to do, especially if you're, you could be a mom, a parent. You could not be a mom or a parent. Maybe you're, you could be doing literally anything, You're not, it's not always about the person is mad at you. In other words, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go through the spiritual / woo-woo insights. So that way, hopefully this episode isn't that long, even though I've probably already jinxed it. So, energetic leaks. Every unnecessary yes drains your energetic field. Your aura gets shattered instead of focused. I've definitely experienced this one quite often, a lot more than, not so much now. I've gotten, obviously, I feel like as you can tell, as I've started this podcast, I've worked on myself a lot. It started in pregnancy. Ever since I knew from almost the very point when I was pregnant, I started working on myself. Obviously, it's an ongoing thing. You should always be learning. You should always be growing. I'm not saying like every second you should be learning. Every second you should be growing. No, that's not what I'm saying. But you should, every maybe season of the year, So think of it as like you got winter, spring, summer, fall, winter. So think of it like that. Like every season, I kind of feel like you should be learning. Maybe there's a season of learning and a season of growing. Everybody's different. Alignment principle. The universe doesn't reward busyness, so keep that in mind. The universe doesn't take in mind, well, she's been working herself to the bone. She's been saying yes to everybody and staying late. Let's just throw her a reward. Why not? No, that's not how that works. It rewards alignment. Saying no creates space for the soul yeses. This is what I have written down. Sacred pause. Saying no is like creating sacred stillness, which might be something in the future that I do talk about, because in our society, which I'm really hoping with my podcast that we can kind of jump into these subjects that are hard to talk about, and we've all heard from a societal norm standpoint, like, you should say yes, and you should be doing something, or hustling, or you should be not bored. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where I think our society has taught us without teaching us. Does that make sense? It signals trust in the divine timing, that the right opportunities will flow without force. And that's very true. Especially this year, I'm definitely learning that one. I definitely trust all of that. Like, that's just where I'll leave that. Frequency protection. So that is the reason why I did the Protect Your Energy series. Is because I feel like that's one of the key pillars to your mindset, to everything that you are, So you have to protect your frequency. You have to keep it, keep tuning in. Keep making some little adjustments here and there. Keep, just frequency protection. Protecting your energy by saying no keeps you vibrating higher rather than lowering your frequency to match misaligned commitments. Or it also keeps you from, like, if you always have a friend or someone, maybe family, friend, whoever it is, it could again be anybody. If you always have someone who's always vibing low, okay, you kind of feel the need to, especially if you're an empath and people pleasing, if you've been through the people pleaser aspect of life, which I kind of definitely have been. I've gotten a lot better, but as a teenager, I definitely felt like, oh my God, I gotta please everybody. Like, I can't push back on people. Like, I always have to say yes. I always have to be there. I always have to take other people's energy and make it better for them. I'm doing all this work for them when really they could give a shit less what you do for them, what you don't do for them, stuff like that. So anyways, if you always have someone who's always vibing low, and you know what I'm talking about, like that always woe is me person, look, I get it. Like, the waves of life can hurt. It can. Like, I have a sad story. I'm sure you watching, you listening, you have a sad story. Nobody's trying to one up the other person. And if you are, again, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, anyways, life is hard. Existing is pain. I don't know if you all have seen that on like people's cars and stuff like that. I've seen that saying on people's cars. Existing in life is painful. Period. Which is very true. Obviously, life is amazing. Life is great. But there's also the flip side. So I get it. You know, maybe if you have a sad story every once in a while and you need a pick-me-up from someone, that's one thing. But if you're always vibing low, if you're always woe is me, then you're just looking to bring other people down. You really are. And you need to stop and you need to work on yourself. That's just where I'm going to leave that. All right, so let's go ahead and go through the reframing / how to use this to work for you. So, flip the script. Again, every no is actually a deeper yes. A yes to yourself, your boundaries, your vision, your energy. The list goes on. Think of no as curation. Like design or art, life is about curation. It's about curating. You don't clutter a canvas with everything. Again, like my book, you don't fill the pages full of words, illustrations, page numbers, stuff like that. I believe you get the point. You curate what belongs. Practice the micro no's. So if you feel like, well, I have a problem with saying no, I always say yes. If that's you, practice the micro no's. So like we said before, start with declining an invite that doesn't excite you. Like if you get invited to something that you're like, I don't really know if I want to go, you can always decline it by saying, maybe not now, or obviously if it's if it's an event that you're getting invited to and it's not aligned with you and you want to say no, but you don't want to say just no, I would just, sometimes you got to come up with something like, actually, thank you so much for inviting me. However, I already have plans, or it doesn't align with, what I'm doing that day. You know what I mean? Like I can't make space for something, especially if you've been invited to something like on the spot, which is always like if it's a surprise invitation to something, obviously you can just be like, I actually already have plans. So you don't just have to say no. So yeah, declining an invite that doesn't excite you to build confidence for the bigger no's or the bigger ones. Like, you can basically take baby steps to saying just flat out no. Not, and also, again, not everything needs to be explained. So, let's say you got invited to something and you're like, I really don't want to go. You could say, well, I'll get back with you on that. Think about it. And if you still are saying no, there's a bird on the window. If you're still saying no within you, then just be like, I've got other commitments that I can't, or you could just literally flat out say, no, I have other plans. Again, like I said, I feel like we all kind of get trapped in the, well, I can't just say no, I have to explain why situation. I'm trying to think of some other, like, no's without saying no. I mean, you could say, I don't know, nothing's coming to mind. Anyways, maybe one will come to mind. Using not now instead of no. So basically what we were just saying, reframe to not right now. It feel like if no feels too hard for you, this will make space without guilt. That's another thing is like, well, I can't just say no, I feel guilty. Like they're depending on me to say yes or whatever. Mantra flip. Instead of I'll let them down, say I'll lift myself up. Remind yourself a no to them is a yes to me. It's a deeper yes within yourself. You're actually, that's a true form of the self-love. So if you want to know true self-love, that is showing yourself love. If you've had a stressful day at work and, well, now my friend wants me to invite me out tonight, or maybe it's not a friend, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's someone in your life, it could be literally anybody, and you're like, I'm not really feeling it. A lot of people will say, well, just go out anyways, you'll have a great time. Yeah, but sometimes, again, you gotta hold that within you. Like, you can't just say yes to everything, But especially if you really do have stuff planned, like if you really do have plans, you should not feel guilty for someone who's just surprising you with an invite somewhere. So, yeah. Anyways, I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about. I hope this all made sense. I know my scattered brainness. I hope it didn't make it hard to follow. But, anyways, I've been having a lot of fun with this mindset mini-series. My son is up from his nap, so I am going to go grab him from upstairs. But anyways, perfect timing, right? I hope you all have had, a great time watching. I hope maybe you've learned something, maybe a different way of thinking about things and stuff like that. And like always, if this episode resonated with you, please share it. It definitely helps, and I do appreciate all of the support. It's just been amazing again. So yeah, on to bigger and better things, right? Anyways, I'll see you all in the next episode, and until then, cheers.